This is Stacy Marshall with Printwear Magazine.
Matt Vasallo with the WritingStoneWorld.com.
Richard Greaves with ScreenMaking.com.
Brian Walker with RTP Apparel.
You are listening to the Two Regular Guys
Podcast.
Hosted by
Terry Combs.
Terry Combs.
Terry Combs.
And
Aaron Montgomery.
Aaron Montgomery.
Aaron Montgomery.
Keep on listening.
I don't know if these guys are that regular.
All right. Well, welcome into the show. It is Friday, October 8th, 2021. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And we are not that regular. That is true. My name is Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me over at oursuccessgroup.com. Terry, today, great show, great friend of the show. In fact, joining us here, Jay Busselle is going to be here to talk to us about the better story about you and your business. And I'm really excited about this. This is like a topic that I think small business owners need more of. You know, we want to talk about all the nuts and bolts, but getting to this, being able to tell a better story, I think is huge. The story of your business is what Jay's going to talk to us about. And so we're going to have him guide us through that. And if you already know Jay, you'll know that he's got a formula for it. Obviously, he is
Exactly.
outside of being the taco guy, he is the formula guy. So,
Aaron, when we talk about this, we're always telling our listeners, you got to tell the story of your business. And how many folks hear us say that, and then they're in an elevator, ready to do the elevator pitch. Tell me about your business. And they're,
yeah, it's so funny because I'm actually working on that for our success group right now, just kind of making sure that our story's good and the message is good. And I was sharing my quote unquote elevator pitch with some people in my mastermind group. And they said, well, how many flights are in that building? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a little wordy. I get it.
Make sure you always get a room on the 20th floor so that you have time to tell your story.
You're going to 20, right? Because this is going to take a bit.
Or do one of these, where you swipe all the buttons.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to tell you a little bit about my business.
The elf Christmas tree. Yes, I love it. All right. Well, let's check in with a couple of the regulators here before we move on. We've got Chuck. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Wendy checking in from South Dakota. And Wade, hello, sir. Great to see you. It's been a little bit. And of course, Eric in the comments, and excited to see Jay. You just saw him, Eric. So, I'm just kidding. Who else we got here? Richard, hello, sir. Good to see you here. Thanks so much for tuning in. And Rich, good morning. And Kristen, good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here. And Christine says, so excited to hear from my LinkedIn guru today. Hopefully he's got, he does have the nice mustache, kind of a little guru-y look and whatnot. So I like it.
Hey, Aaron, I think that, besides Eric doing the take up and doing your 30-minute program afterwards, maybe Eric in the comments is his next show. I like that. Eric in the comments.
Well, gosh, we're just going to do shows nonstop now. We've got Eric in the comments. We've got the Terry Factor coming soon. So,
right. Eric in the comments could be, here's all the stuff that I couldn't read on the air.
Yeah, so that one will be in the
Why are they all
category.
from Todd, though? Why are they all from Todd?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, boy, Eric in the comments. That sounds awesome. Let's check in with a few more, if you don't mind, Terry. We do have Cindy checking in, and Bevy Jean, thank you so much for being here. We got Kingsbury Crafts. Thank you so much. As you just mentioned, Todd is here. And we've got Martha and Dale and Charles. How fast can you go, Eric? And Lyndon, nice. Welcome. Great to have you here. Good morning to you. And Terry, Lyndon said, good morning, gentlemen. So my guess is the gentleman is a loose term, a very loose term.
Very loose, I would have to say.
Yeah, and good morning to Brian as well. Okay, we've got everybody so far. We appreciate all you guys checking in. Thanks for being here. Yes, we've got Jay, and let's not waste too much more time, but we've got a few announcements to make here, Terry.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind starting us off.
Sure, absolutely. We have been talking about trade shows kind of kind of gradually being announced as different in the past because a year ahead of time we've got dates and
Yep,
locations
yep.
so Dax has announced 2 of their 3 dates so far. They still show them as tentative because they haven't signed on the dotted line, but
Yep.
this is it's set in loose stone. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. It's penciled in.
You're penciled in, exactly right.
Into your big book of travel, right?
Exactly.
Sorry.
Like I almost always use a pencil. And Aaron, I don't know.
Oh, we just
I just there went my screen. I'm holding up my 2022 big book of travel. So
Oh boy, look at that. Exciting. Already. I can't believe it.
I have a flight to New York City next week on Thursday to my son's wedding, so maybe I'll start penciling in dates into that. But I digress.
There you go.
The DAX show Kansas City is scheduled for February 25th and 26th. The DAX show Chicagoland down in Tinley Park, April 22nd and 23rd. Still hammering out the dates for the DAX Minnesota show, but and February 25th, 26th, that's around the corner. I mean, we're in October already, so
yeah,
that's coming fast.
definitely.
And Aaron, but let me interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
One more trade show this year, and that is the Graphics Pro Expo GPX Charlotte. That's going to be October 29th and 30th, and then we're gonna spin around and start in January back into trade shows again.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, like you said, right around the corner, Terry. DAX Minnesota is typically in between the Kansas City and Chicagoland show there in March timeframe. So we'll see how that goes. The big challenge that they're having is these venues don't have the staff to be able to work with all of the people looking for show dates. Everybody's kind of jonesing to get back out there, and they haven't been able to staff back up yet. Was what the word on the street from Scott at DAX was. So they are working feverishly. Like you said, Terry, it's normally a year in advance that they've got these things all booked and stuff. And so a short turnaround is a challenge for sure for everybody involved.
Well, and it's everything, Aaron. If you go out to eat and you say, well, I wonder why I'm waiting 15 minutes, that whole section over there is completely empty because you don't have any wait staff. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody get out and get a second job waiting tables. I was going to say, I don't want to wait 15 minutes.
If you are potentially looking for a job and are unemployed, there's zero reason for that to be the case. So
exactly right.
I mean, I can't drive by a building without being some big, huge banner outside saying, we're hiring.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I had someone ask me yesterday, Aaron, so I hear that once I order equipment, even if you have it, it's 2 to 3 weeks because of the trucking companies. And I said, well, no, that's not the case. But you know what? It might be 2 to 3 days before a trucking company picks up from us or anybody else because they don't have any drivers. Yeah. So it's
well, we can get into a whole lot of stories here. The bug people that come once a quarter to take care of our house, it's taken them 2 weeks to get here. They kept calling every day going, yeah, we couldn't get somebody out today, we were short. I'm like, just show up when you can. I don't need you to call me every day.
Since I'm doing the dad joke today, maybe I should be the one to saying are you calling and bugging them?
They're calling and bugging me, but no, they're awesome. I've been using them for a long time. All right, let's keep going here because we got to get Jay on here. Otherwise, we're gonna have a 2-hour show on our hands. So I just really wanted to share a quick note from listener. I'm not going to be able to share all of it and who it is yet because I was late responding and getting back to them. But I'll share just a quick part of this. And then once I get more details, I'll share more details later on. But I just love this stuff. So I'm not so sure if it's a news item, but I just think this is really cool and kind of why Terry and I do this. In fact, this is why every week Terry kind of quote unquote begs for reviews because it helps us know that we're actually doing something worthwhile here. And so said, I recently started listening to your podcast because I have an hour commute one way, 3 days a week. Says, I send all of your dad jokes to my husband, who then shares them with his employees. So keep them coming. So that's a good sign there that we're doing the right thing there. And there were some other details. Like I said, I'm going to leave that part out until I hear back. But just kind of the closing was, thanks for all you do to make us solopreneurs look like superstars. So
that's awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, you guys are superstars, and we are just so excited to be able to be a small part of that for you guys. So that's really cool. Really cool. So I think because of the fact that the dad jokes are, people are listening, it's time, Terry.
Well, and since we have Jay today, because the last 3 weeks I've done a ghost one, coming into October, but since Jay's here, I have a social media dad joke. How about that? You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. Yep, I'm ready.
Okay, here's my social media dad joke. What's 1,000 times better than Instagram?
I don't know what's 1,000 times better than Instagram.
Insta-kilogram.
See that's
I can see Eric shaking his head.
There he just a little shake. The crazy part is, I know it's a good dad joke because obviously I've seen it before, and I still chuckle like a real chuckle. So that was good. Awesome.
All right. Well, hey, Eric, before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We are always looking for new guests. If you or anyone would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2. the number 2, Regular Guys, and give us your show ideas. Either you can come on the show or suggest an idea for us, suggest a guest for us. We would love to hear from you. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing us with your industry friends. We would love for all of them to become regulators too. And as Aaron mentioned, I'm always begging for reviews because it's really, really important to us. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast listening, please go on there and give us a review. And if you're watching us live right now, please join us with all your comments and questions. Here's your chance to talk to the marketing guru, Jay Busselle.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to get Jay on here. We'll have a quick break here, but I did want to hit a couple of the comments because as you were talking, I'm sitting over here giggling like a little kid. Kristen said, I mostly listen to you guys in my car. Does that make me an irregular? The follow-up to the dad jokes are probably more funny than the dad. Nothing personal, Terry, but and then Dale says that was an insta-million-gram joke. Awesome.
See, that's because Dale's not a metric system guy. He's
I love it. All right. Well, Terry, you mentioned one last show of the year from our friends over at Graphics Pro Expo. So let's hear a quick word from them, and then we will get Jay in here and get to some great stuff.
The NBM show is now Graphics Pro Expo. Graphics Pro Expo gives you access to the awards and personalization, apparel decorating, and sign and digital graphics markets all under one roof. Meet with top suppliers and manufacturers, source hundreds of products, and train with experts for a personalized experience geared toward your business. Graphics Pro Expo is headed toward a city near you in 2021. First up is Irving, Texas, May 13th through 15th. Indianapolis featuring RapsCon, June 15th through the 17th. Meadowlands, New Jersey, co-located with the NSSA Northeast Sign Expo, July 15th through 16th. Long Beach, California, August 12th through the 14th. Pittsburgh, September 24th through the 25th. And Charlotte, North Carolina, October 29th through the 30th. Go to graphics-pro-expo.com to find out more, and we'll see you there.
All right. Well, thanks very much to Graphics Pro Expo for their support, and last chance in 2021, but then they've got great stuff coming up in 2022 as well. So excited to hear all the things happening out in Charlotte. Yeah. So, and real quick, if you guys do end up going to Charlotte, please report back to Terry and I and let us know your thoughts, what you saw, anything new. Just reach out to us at info@tworegularguys.com and let us know about the show. Terry and I are not going to be able to make it. As far as I know, you're not going, right, Terry? I thought you.
No, I'm not going.
Not going to make it.
And your report does not have to tell us about North Carolina barbecue because I'm a Kansas City guy, so we don't need to hear it.
But you could, and I'll probably add that when I forward it to Terry. So,
fine.
all right. Well, let's do this. Let's get to the meat here. The meat and potatoes time. Well, actually, ground up meat, maybe some pork, something like that, because
A little sour cream,
some cheese, probably some lettuce, tomatoes, maybe. We've got the taco guy here with us, a good friend of the show, Jay Busselle. So let's just welcome him right in, Eric. The taco guy shows up with a taco.
What's going on?
Hey, Jay. So real quick, before we really get started, I know most people know you, and obviously we've introduced you as a taco guy, so I'm not sure what else there is, but
Taco guy.
Give us a little bit of your background just for anybody that maybe is living under a rock and haven't met you yet.
Well, I collect bobblehead tacos, as you can see. So this one, no, I'm kidding. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being so gracious to have me back. So my name, as most of you know, has been introduced as Jay Busselle, and I have a few projects going right now. Primarily, folks will know me from either Equipment Zone or some of the training I do through FlexPoint, which is usually LinkedIn related. So but yeah, I've been in the apparel industry for forever. Printed my first t-shirt when I was 16 in high school and was, immediately bootlegging official replica t-shirts is what we used to call them, or actually unofficial replica t-shirts. Anyway, yeah. So, between the apparel business and the promo business and some sign business, I've just been lucky enough to be here on the island of Misfit Toys. And right now I get to spend a lot of time with my good friend and colleague, Terry Combs, because he also works at Equipment Zone, as far as I know, right, Terry? You're still there?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if you saw that email. We'll talk about that later. No, I'm just messing with you. So yeah, that's me. So a lot of training, awesome. A lot of trade shows, and lucky to be here this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. And Christine says LinkedIn guru. That has to be in his description.
Christine, you are too kind. Yes, I was fortunate enough to have 2 or 3 other industry experts, and I use that term specifically, who attended one of my sessions in Fort Worth at the Impressions show, which was so awesome to go back to shows. I was like, yes. And then I got Eric and I got Christine and others that are just gifted of their own, and so I was like a little nervous. I was like, I better get my stuff together.
It's A game time.
A game time. Yeah, I love it.
Aaron, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, that we have so many industry veterans on who, when they tell their story, sometimes they always begin with some type of petty theft, like trademark infringement.
Hey, Terry, we've learned those lessons.
Nobody as bad as Charlie Tobley, because every time Charlie's been on, he's told us a new story about trademark infringement that he was involved in.
All right. Well, before we get any of our good friends called by the local authorities,
I'm still laughing at that, Terry. That's so funny.
All right. Well, before we dive into this here, Jay, I've got one other quick question for you here.
Yes.
I want to know, like, where you're at, how you're feeling. This has got to be the happiest week of your life. It's Monday was National Taco Day. So what does the taco guy do to celebrate Taco Week?
Well, imagine having a taco themed something every day for almost every meal. And then out of the blue, a friend of mine sent me these. So I'm holding this up. This is actually taco spices, a tube of taco spice.
I love it.
And so, because you guys know, we also have a show that we do, which is called Tacos with Jay and Jeff. So we now have our custom branded spice. We have our own spice, guys.
That is impressive. Wow.
Isn't that cool? So, and we're giving away a whole case of these. We got cases of them. We're just giving them away. So I'll try to hook Eric up in the show notes at some point with where to go to get the link, so you can get your own tube. I guess these are tubes. But yeah, it's just I don't know what they're called, but yeah, it's time to spice it up, guys. We got
maybe it's a vial. I think maybe it's a vial. Taco spice.
A test tube of taco spices.
Well, all I can say is they'll probably stop you at the airport with that. You'll get on your way eventually, but don't be running late with that tube in your. Yeah,
I'll have several in my backpack hanging out. And they're like, "Whoa, hey, what's going on?"
Hold on, buddy. All right. Well, we obviously, you embrace the taco, and I think that's a big part of telling a story, right? Is that embracing of things, but Terry, let's dive into what we actually wanted to talk to Jay about here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jay, you know, I mentioned at the top of the show about how we're always telling people you need to tell your story, but talk to us a little bit about that whole concept and you know where that came from, because you know 10 years ago you probably should have been telling your story, but we didn't talk about it. But today we say you need to tell your personal and your business story. Tell us a little bit about that concept.
Yeah, well, thanks for the question, Terry. And to build on what you asked and what Aaron said, it was about 8 or 9 years ago, probably I think closer to 8. I tried to go back on my Instagram and my Facebook to try to figure this out, but people
In the
have
Wayback
started
Machine, Mr.
in the
Peabody.
Wayback Machine. Yeah. You know, the Jetsons, the little noises are still rattling around in there. The idea of an anchor, something that people could immediately identify you with and associate you with, that's positive, some positive attribute, some positive characteristics, something that they could see it and they would go, Terry or Aaron. And so the three of us have had this discussion before, because we've been in trade show booths together, just kind of, you know, chit-chatting as we do. Terry's got his perfected trade show lean, and Aaron's telling dad jokes, and I'm distracted looking at all the shiny. But we were talking and somebody goes, "Hey, with Jay, it's the taco guy." And Aaron just looks over and he goes, "Dude, seriously, everywhere we go." And I'm like, "I know." And then Aaron's like, "I can't even eat tacos and not think of you. And I think that's creepy." So,
I'm having tacos for dinner tonight, by the way.
he's like, yeah. So the taco thing just stuck. I mean, I am a fan. Contrary to popular opinion, I don't eat them for every single meal. But it became a part of my story because I was somewhere doing a training and I said, you know, marketing's a lot like a great taco. You know, you've got to have all of the right ingredients, and it's a container, like holds everything together. So your branding is holding all of those pieces together. And each of them is their own little marketing element. And it might have a social media element. It might have an email marketing element. It might, you know, and I kind of described it as that. And that's the genesis of the taco guy, was really this comparison of marketing to tacos. And I thought it would have gone away by now. I thought it would have definitely died down a little bit. But man, I just embraced it. And everywhere I go, people are sending me things now. And International Taco Week or National Taco Day or things like that. I have recipe books now. So yeah. So you might have a new show. If you've got Eric in the comments, it might be Jay in the tacos. I don't know. Something taco theme.
All right. When you said tacos, marketing is a lot like tacos, I had my Forrest Gump moment. And I'm picturing you in Vietnam going, there's beef tacos, there's fish tacos, there's shrimp tacos.
See, that's going to continue to perpetuate this story. And don't forget chorizo tacos. And by the way, I have had shrimp tacos. They're excellent. And fish tacos are one of my favorites. So you're right. There are a million ways. I had somebody talk to me about a tofu taco the other day. "Hey, Jay, have you ever had a tofu taco?" And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I have.
Wow. Well, yeah. So when you're telling your story, make sure it's something you love, like tacos, right?
Yes,
And because
yes.
It may stick.
Back to Terry's question. Really, this got kicked off, I think, in a big way. We can almost single-handedly thank Donald Miller, because his book was so. It wasn't revolutionary in terms of what he was saying. It was how he packaged it and how he clarified it. And in fact, that is his key message for me. My takeaway from Donald Miller, if you haven't read Building a Story Brand, you should really do that. You should have already done it by now. You probably, like a lot of us, bought the book and it sat there for a year or two. Crack it open and start reading. The real takeaway is clarify your message. Clarify. The clarity of what you're trying to express and what you're trying to say everywhere, in person, online, in emails, etc. So his book was a big reason for this, you know, this push into telling a better story for yourself, your personal story, as well as your business story. So I'm not sure if I 100% answered your question, Terry, but that's really where this idea came from. Now, people were saying this before Donald Miller. You know, every great storyteller, every great screenwriter, every great movie you've ever seen, every great script you've ever seen, those people all knew about this. And I mean, for thousands of years, right? Storytelling. I mean, you think about it. That's why it's so important, because it's something our brain is somehow wired to do. It's to figure out the story, figure out the messaging, looking for clues, and the curiosity that's built in. And it's also something that's more easily remembered. So those are the key takeaways for me as to why a better story or why a better clarified message.
Well, and sometimes it has to just be put into words, Jay. And it's like when, all of us and Eric back there in the studio included, when we write articles, we're not necessarily groundbreaking information. Sometimes we're repackaging something. So all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, that's right.
100%.
That does make sense, because I knew it in bits and pieces. Somebody had to put it all together and form it into the perfect taco.
Ah, yes, the perfect ingredients. And that's what's really brilliant about what you just said, Terry, it's Terry's insights on that topic. It's not that the topic was revolutionary. It's not that a taco is new. It's Terry's take. It's your opinion. You have risked it to share an opinion. A lot of people just don't even think that way. They just don't do that. Now, some people go way too far on the internet with their opinions. Let's be serious. But on this particular topic, yeah, Aaron, seriously. But to have an insight, not just the information, that's everywhere. You can't compete on information alone. You just can't.
Yeah.
What you can compete on are your insights and the value that you bring. And that's really the experience of the process. So
yeah. Wow. What a great way to start this off. And I think it's amazing, because I have read Build a Story Brand before, but kind of at that phase in our success group's life where it's like, let's really get that clear. I think I mentioned at the beginning. So there's my Audibles
yes,
read right now.
There it is. See that megaphone? It's saying, read me, clarify my message, Aaron.
Exactly. So great book. I also highly recommend it. Thank you for sharing it, Jay. So Jay, while we've got you here,
yeah,
there's obviously some people getting it wrong, right? And I mean, what are, where are the business owners getting this wrong? What is it that maybe they think that they're telling their story, but they're just not getting it right?
Well, first of all, I think it's interesting when we think about not getting it right, and they're not telling their story in a way that resonates with the right audience. So even if they think they're telling the story, it might be completely misaligned with who they think their audience is or who they wish their audience could be. Yeah. But I want to back up for just a second and share this, if I can, and then move forward into that. A couple of quick things. There's a biographer, an author. In fact, Walter Isaacson used to be the CEO and president of CNN during the 9/11 years, like the year before, during, and the year after. So imagine being, the CEO of CNN during 9/11. Yeah. But he's also a biographer. He's an author. He writes a lot of books. He's written one on Da Vinci, on Steve Jobs, Ben Franklin, and he's just a brilliant guy. So he said, genius requires two things: an endless curiosity and the ability to see patterns. And man, I read this about 3 or 4 times a week at least, because I hope someday, I know I'm not a genius, but I'm always aspiring, and thank God I have endless curiosity. Yeah, because I really do. I'm like, why is that? Why did he say it that way? Or what? Yeah. Sometimes you get lost on that. That's another show for another day. But the ability to see patterns, and that's what I think I bring to the table sometimes. Sometimes I break it down so I can see the pattern, so that I can understand better the formula. You called me one of the formula guys, because that's just how I try to boil it down and try to get that message a little bit more clear. Because here's what happens. And Terry, you nailed it at the top. I was listening. You're like, that elevator pitch. And Aaron, you do need to kind of boil it down.
Yes,
20 stories. Come on, bro. That's
it was 40 before. So
yeah, at that point, you're holding us hostage in the elevator. So,
that may be my problem. I don't know.
It's that elf moment,
So yeah, right. So let me give you a tip that was given to me. So I have a good friend, Bobby Lehue, who is the chief content officer at commonsku. commonsku is a software company in the promotional products industry. A lot of apparel decorators do know commonsku and use their tools as well. Not a plug for them, but my friend Bobby Lehue, he was interviewing me, and while he was asking me a question, he said something, and I was just like, oh my God, that's the smartest question anyone's asked me, because what? And I was like, stop. I was stuck. I couldn't even answer because I was trying to write it down. And he goes, Jay, did we lose you? And I was like, no, I'm just writing down your question, because he said, moving from generalities to specifics is a big part of success. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I get that. That's so smart. And then he says, when we're not specific, we get lost, and then we lose our audience. And so back to what Donald Miller says, it's that clarifying thing we need. And so I started working on this because when people ask me, well, Jay, what's your story? Or Jay, what do you do for a living? Or so what do you do? Whether that's at a church event or an actual mixer or some sort of networking thing or online, or you're at the grocery store, wherever, right? Well, what do you do? And you're like Terry, I'm the I apply plastisol ink to a substrate. No, that
I
sounds
push
dorky.
squeegee.
Yeah, I push and pull on this device. I'm a cog in the system. No, so it's tough for us, especially business owners. We get lost in all of the other details. So I really do relate to this, and then so I started thinking, how can we simplify this? How do we get to this? And so I found this lady on the internet. I've never met her, but I've listened to a few of her like talks, like speeches, like training events. Her name's Jane Powers, and she came up with this idea called intromercial. Like, we need to do a better job. And she started to formulate it down. And so I was like, that's really smart. I want to figure out how to do that for our industry. And so that's what I kind of started working on. And maybe we can talk about that today.
Well, yeah, Jay, I know in your seminars you talk about something called promomercial, and I'm guessing that's a spinoff of that. So what exactly is promomercial?
Ding, 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 ding. Terry, it's like you knew where to go with the question. I don't know how he does this.
I'm reading your mind, man.
I don't know how he does this every week. It's crazy. Yes, all I did was adapt Jane Powers' work. So if you call me a thief again, I'm going to be upset. No. Listen, I learned those lessons when I was 16. Give me a break. But I realized that there was this way to put our twist on it. So remember when I said, I think that a little special salsa on top, that little special ingredient, Terry's insights, Aaron's opinion, right? That experience counts. And so I tried to put my experience on this and just rework it for apparel decorators and people that are in the promo space, whether you want to call it branded merch or promotional products or awards or stuff. I mean, don't call it stuff. That's pretty lame. But what can we do? Can we get an upgraded elevator pitch? Because that's really what I wanted to do. I'm not opposed to the elevator pitch. I think that's okay. That's something that people have and carry in a reference, in a frame of mind of how to tell their story. Like, how could I consolidate everything I do into, a 20-second ride on an elevator? So I'm not
a 5-minute, 10-minute ride
or in Aaron's case, boom, he hits the stop button, the alarm bell's going off. Yeah. Or what would that be? That would be like a 200-second commercial. So the point is, it's not really about the 30 seconds or 45 or whatever it is. It's not about that idea. This was the thing. I kept getting random, odd, awkward, stall, flop moments, or cliches, a lot of cliches, or industry jargon that didn't really resonate with me. And if you think about it, when we say things, sometimes we say them in our industry jargon, and a new listener who's never met us before doesn't know what we're talking about. So we're too general. We're not specific enough. And so the promo commercial, or the apparel-mercial, however you want to phrase that, promo-mercial, apparel-mercial, your personal commercial could be worked on, should be worked on. And so I wanted to try to come up with a little bit of a method, and I think I've got something. I'm not sure.
All right.
Hey, Jay, let me jump back a little bit to something you said before, because I keep thinking about it. You had commented about what the business owner thinks is impressive about their business, as opposed to what the potential customer thinks about it. I'm just imagining somebody in the elevator going, oh, so what do I do? Well, I've got 4 automatic presses, and those are really expensive. And I've got this, I've got this, and I've got this. And this person's over here going, hitting the button again for the
right,
floor.
like how fast
They're trying to move me out of the way.
They're just kind of shaking their head, smiling. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. And they're like, I got to get out of here. Yeah.
So you have to have a way of knowing what's going to impress them, what's going to draw them to me in my business. But
100%, 100%.
Yeah. Jay, and we definitely want to get to your formula, but let's keep the suspense building for one more second, because I wanted to since Terry got to go back, I want to go back too.
Yes, go back. I'm happy. Let's go back.
Because you talked about going from the general to the specifics, and what I found, for not only for me personally, but the folks I get to work with at our success group, is we go back to the general because we want to make sure that we're catching everybody, right? All the outliers. And so if we say these general things, then I know I've got this person that's way over here with this issue. I've got this. And so can you just, I don't know, break that down real quick? Like why maybe that's not the best thing to do?
Sure. Well, I can give you kind of my opinion on it. So I love that. Yeah. I love that idea, because we are, as business owners, afraid. We're afraid that we're not. And a lot of this comes from a place of fear. Like, I'm not including everybody, or I might be missing someone. Like that random stranger over there might want to buy mugs for me, or needs, 24 t-shirts for their upcoming event or something. So the reality is we don't want business from everybody. Yeah. We want the most profitable business we can get from people that are going to fall in love with our style, our way of communicating, and our way of delivering success. So I think that the more specific we can get and work backwards, and to tie this together with what Terry just asked, remove yourself from the story. So the best promo-mercials really are about trying to identify, is this my right target? Is this my right audience? And can I solve their problem? Yeah. So try to make them the hero in your story. Like, I solve problems like this for people like you. Yeah. And that becomes a story that they're now listening to, rather than going, what? An oval? An oval? Is it an automatic what? And it has how many needles? Yeah. And they go, no. And how? And then what's a hoop? So those are all the wrong kind of specifics, because it's lost on the audience. So they are specific. I'll give you credit for that, but it's not going to be a solution that they can remember. And so I don't know if that answered your question.
No,
Aaron,
that's perfect. That's perfect in every way. And I agree 100%. All right. Well, Jay, we have held our listeners, the regulators, in suspense long enough. We're ready for the grand formula. Can you share with us your formula?
Well, as you guys know, I'm a fan of words. Words matter. And so I think of formula, method. How about prescription, process, recipe? Because we all like a great recipe. Template. It could be a template, but a pattern. Remember my quote, you got to have curiosity and the ability to see patterns. So this to me is a pattern, and I give you permission to kind of tweak it, but I've really found that it's effective, and I've seen others doing it too. And so that's why I've had enough positive feedback, and I've seen it written by other much greater thinkers than I am. So that's my affirmation that I'm going in the right direction. Is I think of something, I try to come up with the formula or the pattern, and then I see if it matches up with other folks are saying. Not because I'm not trying to copy somebody's work, but just to try to see, okay, I'm going in the right direction. And the first thing I did is I noticed a pattern, especially on LinkedIn, and especially in people's about section on their websites. By the way, the about section on the website is still one of the top 5 landing pages for most people's websites. In fact, for most people, it's number 3. So people are like, what's going on? They hit your landing page, and then they're like, well, what are these people about? And so sometimes they want to know, they're interested to know the story for the business or the business owner. But I started seeing this catchphrase that says, we help businesses like, I help divine, I help decide, I help design, I help build. And it was always this, I help. And I'm not opposed to that, but I started reworking it. And so the first step in my kind of what I would do different is ask yourself this question: who hires you? Who literally hires you? Who are your top 5 customers? And start from that. So then you have a concrete, specific, not general, a specific reference. And you can say, here are the people who've hired me. And then start thinking about number 2, what are my biggest values? What not values like I'm an honest person, but what makes me rare and special? What are the gifts, the biggest gifts that I bring to the table? What makes me special? What value can I bring to this recipe? Because if there are, let's say there are what, Terry, what would you say? Would you say it's fair to say there are 50,000 screen printers in the United States?
Oh, easily.
Okay. So if we're all screen printers, And we're all buying from Sanmar and Alpha and S&S when we can find supply, right? When we can find
You
stock.
have to now name everyone so as not to exclude anyone.
Okay,
So go ahead.
so there's no, I'm not. I thought naming 3 would be generous. So and then there's McCreary's Teas down there on 40th Street, Terry. They are still
And
open,
that's
by the way.
it. I'm done.
But to say, if we all buy from the same blank wholesalers and a lot of us have the same equipment, then what do we do different? And so we have to flip it. Like, what do I do different than the others? How can I have some secret sauce, some special ingredient, some taco seasoning that I can sprinkle in? And so write 2 or 3 of these things down. We need to find those things. Okay. Then the next one, number 3, I need to know, of those folks that hired me, what are their top 2 or 3 pain points? What are they seriously struggling with right now? Write those 3 things down. What are their pain points? So your commercial, it's like, wait, I thought this was going to be kind of fun. Now you're getting a little bit, robotic. But listen, if you can kind of get into their brains as to what they're struggling with, you can position your story. You can position this apparel commercial or promo commercial in a much more relatable way. And then number 4 in the pattern, number 4 in this process is, what are the 2 or 3 benefits? When I used the word prescription, like, if you're going to try to give someone the medicine to cure that problem, what is that? The ultimate outcome, if you want to look at it that way. What's the ultimate outcome, the ultimate benefit? I fixed this problem. What does it look like? Because a lot of times as business owners, we just think, I delivered the t-shirts, I'm done. Woo! And we want to celebrate. And the truth is, that might not have been the solution. And they might still be stuck with the same problem. And so now they're disappointed, not in the t-shirt, not in the quality of the cut, not in the quality of the print or the decoration method. They're disappointed because they still have the same damn problem. And t-shirts was a misfire. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so it's hard as an apparel decorator to go, damn, I thought t-shirts solved everybody's problems. Well, you know what? T-shirts can solve a lot of problems, and that's, you just have to be creative with that. So those are kind of the big 4 in the formula. I hope that makes sense. Who hires you? What's your biggest value? Can you name 2 or 3 pain points of those people that hire you? And then what are your true special secret sauce outcomes, the benefits of doing business with you?
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, real quick, can we get a couple regulator comments, questions in here? I think
Sure.
Good timing for this. So, Rich says, "I'm in business to make your business look good." So that's his pitch, right? So, what's your feedback on that one?
I'm in business to make your business look good. I'm in business to get more specific. I would get more specific.
Okay.
I'm in business to eliminate HR hiring challenges. I'm in business to help small businesses grow. I'm in business and look good. I like the look good because this is kind of a, we are in a branding environment. We are in a very physical, visual medium. So I'm cool with the looking good. I would just try to get a little more specific. For who? Who's going to look better? You in the eyes of your employee, you small business owner in the eyes of your local community. Like, just be a little bit more specific. But nice. I think you're going in the right direction.
I love it. Okay, next one here real quick. Wendy says, I find I get in my own way explaining processes to client and how much is too much.
Don't talk about process at all in the first, especially when you're meeting people. Like process, like I might be jumping to a conclusion, but I wouldn't talk about the kind of decorating techniques. I wouldn't talk about, well, the difference between heat transfer vinyl and DTF is blah, 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 blah. They don't care about that yet. In fact, they may never care about that. They have specific set of problems. So in the process, your process should be a detective to uncover those problems. So what I mean by that is you could say something like, promo and apparel companies hire me to solve these kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Like if I were trying to earn like your business, I would be saying, okay, Aaron, people like you, promo and apparel companies hire me to optimize their LinkedIn profile and align their branding because most of their branding sucks.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't say it that way, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I would actually be close to that. I would probably leave off the because it sucks part, but Yeah.
Yeah. Because you struggle with it or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you spend too much time in the struggle bus. All right.
Well, I have. Yeah. Right.
All right. One more here, and then we'll get back into because I know we've got more questions for you. But Jerry asks, do you mean the benefit to working with us?
Yes, the benefit to work is it Terry or Jerry? I didn't
Jerry.
see that.
Jerry.
The benefit of working with Jerry and Jerry's team, like what are the benefits? What happens? What's the ultimate outcome? What's the end of the story?
Yeah.
The ending of the story is my employees are happy. The end of the story is my business grew. The end of the story is that benefit that says I helped in this area and sales increased, right? Because of what I brought to the table, your challenge went away. I gave you this secret ingredient, this secret weapon, and you used it to solve your problem.
Correct. Yeah. I love it. Perfect explanation.
Well, Jay, I'm sorry. Were you?
Well, I said it was the last one, but Frank Good chimed in with it's Jay and his great looking stash. So I just wanted to.
We definitely need to put that in.
Yeah, that was a must. So. All right.
For our podcast listeners, Jay has a great looking mustache. So
thank you very much.
Great looking young man. Much. So
I appreciate the young. I don't know about the stash, but the young part.
I would have to think that your mustache would interfere with your vocation of taco eating. But hey,
Terry, let's not talk about that. That's not a visual people want. Right?
Yes, sorry, podcast listeners.
Let's talk about this instead. Let's take your formula and give us an example of somebody using your formula, either a real company or the imaginary decorator out there.
Okay, so I'll do mine, and then I'll do an imaginary decorator. So we're going to kind of follow that formula, those same 4 things. So I would say promo and apparel companies hire, and I use the word hire, not I don't help them, because you can help, but now it's like, are you volunteer? You know what? No, this is about business, baby. So cash. Promo and apparel companies hire me to align their branding and optimize their LinkedIn profile, because that's an important little word in there. It's a breakup, because most of their branding is inconsistent, out of date, and it reads like a resume, AKA boring. And I'm one of the few guys that's going to tell them. So that's an important transition. So I help promo peeps and apparel geeks find their true why, tell better stories, and ultimately create better business-to-business relationships.
There you go.
That's my pitch. That's my elevator pitch, my 30-second commercial, my apparel commercial, my promo commercial. That's how I would do that. So I have the specific of who hires me. I have the specific of the what's the problem. I spell out the pain for those people, like, because they're inconsistent, they're out of date, it looks like a resume, it's lame, but I didn't say lame, I said boring. So is the transition to the solution. So I help them solve this problem, tell their true why, tell a better story, create better relationships. So that's my little version. Now let's take it to a more specific example. If I'm an apparel decorator, and I will call my my enterprise will be called Terry's Tees and More. How about that?
I love it.
Terry, think about it. Okay, because you're such a tease, Terry. You're just a tease. So local HR directors hire me. Okay, look at what I just did right there. How specific is that? So if I'm talking to someone in Phoenix, local HR directors hire me to... I went so specific that I'm even calling out a specific title. I've done some research and I found that 3 or 4 of my HR directors are in my top 10 client list. And you look for patterns, right? So who are you best at helping? If you were a former nurse, and by the way, screen printing attracts the greatest people in the world, former police, former fire, former nurses, former educators, right? They're all like fed up with something and they start this little side hustle. And then they're like, oh my God, this is the greatest business ever. So if you were any of those former somethings, then you know their pain better than most. So you may not want to ever deal with them again. I get that. But you have an advantage over the average apparel decorator. So it could have been, local hospitals hire me, or local schools hire me, or local PTA presidents hire me. Whatever it is, be that specific. Local HR directors hire me at Terry's Tees and More. They hire me to design custom onboarding kits and personalized employee apparel, because most HR directors are really busy, overwhelmed with the options and tired of seeing cheap, unisex, one-size-fits-all solutions. P.S. One size fits all is a lie. So my creative team will develop a theme and a multi-day desk drop of meaningful gifts, branded merch that employees actually want and will use and will keep.
Perfect.
How's that?
Perfect.
Did I do it? Did I do it?
Hey,
that was I
did,
practiced
Jay.
that
Hey,
all night.
by the way, Jay, I don't know if anybody else, but I don't see you anymore, and I know sometimes you have that
What?
issue with your video.
Why didn't you tell me that?
You were going. It was great.
You're
No,
on a roll, man. I didn't want to
there you go.
interrupt you.
Yeah, he's
He's
back.
back.
I love it.
Well, you can still hear me.
Yes, we can
Yeah,
definitely still
absolutely.
hear you. And
Okay.
and so, Jay, I mean, you check all the boxes, right? You've got the whole formula in there. So I will be sending over my elevator pitch to you for review. So
Well, I will accompany an invoice with my return of said.
there you go.
formula.
There you go. Nice.
And Aaron, here's the deal. You've got to start on the 3rd floor. So.
Yeah, that's right. I do
Well,
have a shorter version, but
Well, what I hope happens is that people can see the specifics of that, and then kind of and I know it sounded a little formulaic. I know it sounded kind of like, well, I wouldn't say it that way. Well, of course you wouldn't. I'm not asking you to say it the way I say it, but I'm asking you to follow the pattern. And so that's why I like really the word recipe. When you think of recipe, and not baking, because baking has to be a little bit more like specific, like exact, but like think of a recipe like cooking recipe, where you can modify, you can add a little extra of that, or take this out and substitute with something else. So the recipe is be specific with the who hires you, be specific with the what it is that you do, your special gifts, your special value. Remind them of the pain. I mean, remember in my example, I was like, what are the pain points for HR directors? Super busy, overwhelmed with too many options, tired of seeing the same old, unisex, one size fits all solutions. That's too general. It's too vague. It's not specific. So you can even use it in the pain point, trying to get specific, saying, by the way, one size doesn't fit all. It's a lie, So, and then the benefits. How do you actually kind of bring something special? And I use some keywords in there that maybe they've never heard. They've never heard of a multi-day desk drop, right? So it's like, what? And they're tuned in and they want to know, what does that mean? And the bottom line is, we have a theme of killer, merch that employees actually want, will use, and will keep. So you can borrow what I said, but I wouldn't copy it because it won't be authentic to you. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Yeah,
for sure. So how can our listeners and me, how can we apply this idea?
Well, I think you just have to stop and take half hour, take as long as it takes, because it's worth investing in this, and use that pattern. And it might take 14 different versions until you get comfortable with something, and then practice it. Call up a friend, call up a colleague, work with your teammates. If you have employees or you have, some stakeholders, do this as a little workshop together. Try to come up with something, because you can have a company version of this, and then each sales rep, I would definitely, if you're in sales at all, you need to have this. And so your sales reps, your account reps, somebody together can kind of have a little bit different version of that. Their version could be a little bit more personalized for them and use the words that they would say, the vernacular that they would use. But I do think that it's important to stop, pause, and work on this. And everyone's like, I'm too busy with this, or I'm too busy with that. Well, then guess what? You're going to be stuck in generalities. You're going to be stuck with cliches. You're going to be stuck fumbling. I put logos on left chests. You're like, ew, that's weird. Don't touch my chest. Yeah.
You got a left fetish, apparently.
What's wrong with the right? I like the right. I'm right-handed. So anyway, yeah. And just practice, and then just practice. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. And we talk about this all the time here on Two Regular Guys. Sometimes you have to stop and work over here on your business, and that's what you're talking about as well. You step away from the heat press, step away from the embroidery machine, step away from the printer, right. and work and grow your business. But Jay, we're off the elevator. So where else can we use this promo-mercial idea?
So the promo-mercial, the apparel-mercial, you first of all have to envision yourself getting back to business, getting back in the saddle, whether that's going out in a safe way, but get back to it. Get back to doing this, like in a physical way if you can. So get out and meet people, set up meetings if you can. You know, you can still be safe and you can still be 6 feet apart or whatever you're supposed to be. But I would encourage people to really work on this so that they can do this in person, that they get really comfortable. And I'm not saying memorize it. I'm just saying get good at it. Like get good at telling the story. And you know how that works? You know how you get really good at something? Have either of you tried to learn an instrument, guitar, piano?
I have not, but yeah.
You
I
have not?
tried.
Okay.
Not very hard though. I did not try very hard,
Well,
and I know
well,
what
we
happened.
all know what do our piano teachers and our guitar teachers tell us to do?
Practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice.
Yeah, so we want you to practice the things correctly so that you get into a good pattern. And I think this will help. So you practice, you go out and you try it. And the person listening isn't going to be judging you. You just get more comfortable with what you're doing. So, you know, and I even have I have a belief that it's okay to be transparent. It's okay to even start off your story with, you know what? Wow. Sometimes this is tricky for me. I sometimes stumble. I'm not sure what to say. I'll tell you what, let me tell you about my last project because I'm really proud of the outcome. Well, I just hooked them in, didn't I?
Yeah.
People are like, okay, you're going to tell me, okay, that's cool. Tell me about, you know, so you can maybe position it that way. Like you're literally telling the story of a positive experience that you just had, a recent outcome. Yeah. And then you just weave it in. Hey, human resource director from a top 10 employer in Phoenix hired my company to come up with some unique employee recognition gifts. And so here's what we did. And here's why it was meaningful. And here's the problems that we solved. And then here's the donation and the kickback that we weaved into it. And then the employees loved it because A, B, and C. And so, yeah, I really helped that HR director look like a hero. I guess that's what I do. I guess that's my story. You know, and so people are like, oh my God, you know, it's like, it didn't even sound like a commercial. It sounded like you were relating one of your past positive experiences. So anyway, I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent there, but
nope.
No.
I just think practicing that, writing it down, crafting it, get specifics, you know, the clarity. Remember Donald Miller, you know, the clarity. What happens is if what happened, you hire a consultant and the consultant says, you have no problem with product. You have no problem with production. What you have is a problem of alignment. Nobody knows that you solve these problems.
Yeah.
You know, so what problems do t-shirts and apparel and promotional products, what problems do they solve? Have those conversations, you know, and you might not end up with a t-shirt. You might end up with a tote bag because it's more useful and it's more, I don't know, perceived as the right gift at the right time. So anyway.
Yeah. And Jay, one of the things I've kind of also noticed in people when we talk about this idea of solving the problem is that people don't always wrap their brains around that the right way. They think that they've got to end world hunger, or we've got to, you know, solve poverty, all of these. And yes, there's a lot of these big problems, and maybe we can do a small part in that, and that could be part of your story. But really, at the end of the day, as
Am I the only one am I out?
Aaron, I believe you may have frozen on your end. I can still hear and see.
It's our show, Terry. It's our show.
I know. Here we are at last. I hit the freeze Aaron button. And
is this where Aaron goes into his 10-minute commercial instead of his
maybe he might still be talking, but you know, it reminds me of that the health candy bar commercial where it says something about solving world peace. And it zooms in and the person goes, but I'm only going to Milwaukee. And it says, start small, just do something. So
take that first step, start small. I love that, Terry. You nailed it. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is to Aaron's point, we're not trying to resolve those kinds of crises. We're trying to think on a more hyper local level. Business owners struggle with what? HR directors struggle with what? You know, think of the types of business that are currently hiring you and how you've succeeded. What challenges did you eliminate? What keeps them up at night? Work on those problems and you'll become their biggest fan. I mean, they'll never leave you. Price, it won't even be an option.
You know, Jay, and every time we have you on the show, by the way, I make tons of notes, and I try not to be looking down as I do it. And then I looked up and I saw that Aaron was doing the exact same thing. So.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment, Terry. But it's my gift to the regulators and everybody listening, and because I'm such a big fan of you, both of you, known you for, geez, I mean, over 15 years for sure, probably more. And I just respect the work that you guys both do and how much you give value to this audience and your consistency. It's beyond impressive.
Well, we appreciate that, Jay, and always appreciate you coming on the show. So tell our listeners how they can reach out and find you.
You can email me at jaybusselle.com, JAYBUSSELLE.com. You can find me at FlexPoint. So go to LinkedIn, either my personal page at LinkedIn, or you can go to FlexPoint on LinkedIn. So yeah, either of those places. I'm a big LinkedIn fan, as most people know. I'm sorry, Christine, I didn't give you any LinkedIn tips today, but that's where you can go to find more.
Well, I will tell our audience, anybody who came here looking specifically for LinkedIn, because we started out with, you know, Jay does these great seminars on LinkedIn. Let's have Jay come and talk about LinkedIn. And then you and I, as we often do, started talking and got off on this tangent going, man, wouldn't this be great information? And I'm like, absolutely, we're shifting gears. So we'll push the entire LinkedIn show down the road just a little bit and have you back on, Jay. But thanks again so much for joining.
My pleasure. I appreciate it again. And thanks to Eric behind the scenes working the board. He's the Mad Max of the two regular guys.
Exactly right. All right. Thanks, Jay. And
all right,
next up, we're going to have 5 things, and Eric's going to jump in. And look at that, Eric is here.
Hey,
and not because Aaron disappeared. This was planned in the background, and we're constantly updating our outline because it's one of those fluid kind of Google Doc things. And Eric got inspired as we were talking about and did a 5 things, but Eric, you're still working the board, so let's have the intro.
I know I have to play us in. That's the problem, is trying to play us in while I'm here. But come on, guys, let's get on with 5 things. All right, so being both the board guy and doing the 5 things myself, if I stammer or stuff, you have to forgive me a little bit, especially with Aaron disappearing. But hey, we got to keep going and keep going on. But this is what I wanted to share today. And honestly, inspired by Jay. If you guys don't know, I was one of those people in that show, as you know, who was watching Jay talk about LinkedIn. And honestly, I've watched him talk about a lot of these things and branding. And honestly, this is something that resonates with me pretty huge. So I wanted to share my 5 reasons to share the story of what you do now. And the reason why I say now in this is because lots of people come to me and say that they're not ready to share and they don't want to teach because they feel like they don't have enough to give. And I think that everyone has something to give. So let's go with these 5 reasons. Number 1, someone can benefit from your experience at any stage, especially when we're talking about inside the industry. Experts need fresh perspectives from newbies, and newbies need the benefit of expert experience. You're always one day earlier or one day more experienced than someone else. There's something that you know in your unique perspective that can help. So when it's teaching, you have something to say, believe me. Second thing, telling your story humanizes you and what you do. When we're talking about our customers, people buy from people, and they buy from people they trust and want to work with. If you tell your story and you tell it in a human fashion, you don't just give corporate speak like Jay said, no jargon, no BS. We just get to what we really do and what we mean. People will trust you more. It builds trust. It makes it work. Sharing builds trust. People buy from people. Third one, formulating your message helps you clarify your position and purpose. Nothing will make you get your message right like knowing you're about to say it in front of a bunch of people. So work on your message, craft it, and in the process of crafting it, believe me, it will get better and more refined. Like Jay said, you got to keep on practicing. You have to make it work. And the reps you get in, the teaching that you do, the refinement that you do will also help you really understand your position better. And sometimes will help you clear out the crap and the stuff that you don't really mean that you've just been saying because you don't have a better option. Like I said, the jargon and that stuff for sure. And that's one of the other things to think about when you're thinking about your audience. Next reason, speaking with an uninitiated audience, someone who is not in your field, someone who is not part of what you do, helps you remove jargon and buzzwords. If you speak with them in mind and think, if I'm talking to somebody who's never seen the equipment I work on, what is it I'm actually doing? And like Jay said, selling results, not the process, is big in this. That helps you remove that stuff. It helps you remove buzzwords if you think about how you're talking to someone that you absolutely is not initiated into what you do. And the last one is, your passion is infectious. If you share what you love with passion, people will resonate with it. And the people who have that kind of passion, who are looking for that kind of person, will flock to you. And frankly, every time I had somebody impressed with something I said in the industry or around the industry, or someone who resonates, who comes up to me, the first thing they always say about me speaking about embroidery is, wow, I've never seen somebody deliver embroidery with passion like that. Sometimes it feels like you want on a limb to talk about something you really believe in, but people will resonate with something you actually mean and that you really bring that energy to. So those are my 5 reasons.
I love it. Those are excellent. And, you know, Eric, I found myself in times, and I'm sure you're the same, and Aaron as well, who I see is back there in the studio, that sometimes I will volunteer to do a seminar for, you know, at one of the trade shows, or I'll volunteer to do an article because I want to learn a little bit more about it myself as I write it, or focus my own concept of it. And I know, but by doing a seminar or by doing an article about it, I'm going to have to sit down and really focus on that process or that topic. So would you agree?
100%. And in fact, I actually teach this, funny enough, with e-commerce. Frequently, people will go into writing their e-commerce site up or working on their site, and they can't get past what's not working in the site because they're not coming to it from an audience perspective. And so I always say, hey, it's the same thing as when we're trying to teach something to learn it a little bit better. I'm like, you should think of yourself like building the story you wish was there for somebody else. Like, build the story you wish was there as a consumer, and work that way. Same thing with your message. How many times have you been talking to somebody who's selling to you and they're feeding you the line? I'm not going to say the line of what, but they're feeding you the line, and we all know what I'm talking about. And you're like, man, I wish you could just get to the point. We can get to the point on our own businesses. If we've had that experience, and we all have, we're all consumers. We're all someone who's had to hire someone for a service. We're all people who have had to, look for something or get taught by someone, any of these things. And we have that feeling of, man, I wish they would just get to the real stuff. I wish they would share what's under the hood. I wish they'd give me a peek behind the kimono. And we can do that. And I don't want to say offensively, because it sounds like I'm getting into the art of war, but we can proactively be the people we wish were selling to us. Like, why aren't we being that if we know what we want?
Exactly.
All right.
All right,
Eric, you want to hang around for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Hang out here, Eric. But let's talk about some other things coming up. Terry, would you start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Next week, Jay Busselle and I do some webinars at Equipment Zone called Ask the DTG Expert. And next week, we're going to talk about, can I print more than just T-shirts? That's going to be October 12th, 3 p.m. Eastern. So you can sign up for that free webinar at equipmentzone.com. My complete screen printing business course coming up here at the end of October 23rd and 24th. That's going to be at Workhorse Products here in Phoenix. That class is filling up fast. So if you want to get signed up, you should probably do it soon before we have to cut off the signups. And I'll be doing that exact same class at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago. That will be November 6th and 7th. And you can find those classes and all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Eric? What's coming up?
Well, what I have coming up is at 2:30 Mountain Time, I have the Take Up. Today it is episode 85, Managing Mass Customization and Machine Embroidery, in which I'll be talking about how to deal with orders that have multiple logos and personalization combinations on multiple sized garments. And this is really about how I handled these for events that are local. Right now we have Balloon Fiesta going on in Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you guys have seen it, it's a pretty big event. And I used to do all of the sponsor jackets, and every single one had logos like left chest, shoulder, back, and personalization and text. And I'm going to just literally tell the story of how I handled that for years. So it's one of those things that people have asked me to talk about. And though, sometimes the business stuff isn't as fun as the how-to stuff, but believe me, it's the stuff that actually saves you money and trouble in the long run.
Totally. And so check that out over at ericcampbell.com. And you can get the episode, get to all your social sites from there, right?
Absolutely, get that there. And if you want to go up to the tab at the top of ericcampbell.com that says the take up, it has the current playlist, current video listed. If you're worried about times when to get it, just click on the get reminder button, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, and it will get it to you in your time zone. It's a question I get a lot.
Awesome. All right. Well, for me, guys, I am excited about the feedback that we've been getting. We put out a new webinar at our Success Group, and it's an on-demand, so you can just watch it whenever you'd like, recorded version, and it's called 5 Proven Foundations Every Small Business Needs. And if you'd like to go check that out, register, sign up for it to get that on-demand webinar, you can head over to oursuccessgroup.com/proven, PROVEN. So check that out. And then coming up in about 20 minutes here, you will have Eric Campbell and I, this fine gentleman here, not the other fine gentleman next to me, Terry, but instead down that way. Eric and I will be doing a 30-minute wide open Q&A, and no outline, no nothing, just great conversation with all the people that show up and catch it live. And so the other nice part about it is the one time in our lives, Eric, that we do our 30 minutes in 30 minutes only. No exceptions.
It might be literally the only time. I mean, we probably do need to work on that story too.
Yes, we are both, Eric and I are both time optimists, or optimist time, as they call me inside of.
Time optimist is the nicest way of time blindness. Like the nicest way to.
Yeah. All right. And then, so yeah, if you want to check that out, you can do so over at liveosg.com. Or you can also find us at the Facebook page, Our Success Group Pro. And then when you're at either of those places, at YouTube or at Facebook there, make sure you're searching for Eric Campbell, ERICH Campbell. And you can watch from all of Eric's socials there as well, the YouTube and Facebook links. So make sure you're subscribing, liking, smashing, whatever you do, or they tell the kids to do these days. I've been spending a little too much time on TikTok, I think. So, all right. Well, Terry shared some of the upcoming shows, but so I think we got that stuff out of the way, and we are well into bonus time here. So we have come to the close of another show. We'd like to thank Jay Busselle for his time and just giving us all of that gold there about telling your story. And also cheers to Jay on Taco Week, as we'll call it here.
Exactly right. How could they have Taco Day on a Monday? I mean, that's crazy to me.
Yeah. Somebody was not paying attention on that one.
I know, that's like having Easter on a Tuesday. I mean, what's up with that? We want to thank our show producer right here, Eric Campbell, for all he does behind the scenes and for jumping on screen and doing 5 things today. So we appreciate that, Eric.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we much appreciate it, and you're still producing while on screen as well, so we appreciate that hard work too. So next week, as Terry mentioned at the top of the show, he's going to be away for his son's wedding, so congratulations. Is it Chris or Mike?
Chris is getting married in New York City.
I have a hard time keeping track of that, but they're not my
kids.
They're
twins. So.
Yeah, I know. they actually very much look a lot alike too. When a few times I got to hang out with them, I was like, wait a second, are you? Anyhow. So our good friend Eric Campbell here is going to be jumping into the front and will help. Eric and I will both be doing a little producing, because next week is an awesome show with lots going on. We're going to be announcing the 2 Regular Guys Reggie Award categories for the 2021 Reggies. I believe this is 9 year. It's got to be year number 9, I would think.
It's got to be. Yeah.
It got to be. Yeah. So we'll be announcing all of the categories, a lot of the same stuff that you see, but also some updates as well. So looking forward to doing that with Eric next week.
All right. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. That guy right there is Eric Campbell. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And we are the 2 Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to 2 Regular Guys. Check out our website at 2regularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/2regularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/2regularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, 2regularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.